What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisor.com bringing home the bacon. NFL DFS video. We are breaking down the showdown between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. So we only have this showdown and next showdown, and then maybe the Super Bowl. I'm not sure yet. Probably not on the Super Bowl, but I wanted to bring this to you. So if you are new to the channel in the last 3 weeks since we've done the regular season showdowns, we did this every single week. We did this for Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night. So we're bringing it back to the table. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over some of the strategies behind the breakdown of last year and the entirety of the 2024 NFL season of how to build some lineups. And then we're going to build some lineups for you. So we're going to build some on DraftKings and FanDuel. Yahoo does not have Washington and Philly. They only have Buffalo at KC. That is it. I don't know why. Whatever. So we're still going to go over it. We're going to look at it. We're going to look at everything. So we're going to look at our matchup tool, so if you've never been here before, we have a matchup tool or our bacon station, that we can go through and look at through statistics. And this is, so we had the full season, but this is just for conference championship, and these are stats through the games in the playoffs. So we're going to look at them real quick just to kind of give you an idea of where some of the stats sit. So you can, it's broken down by each position. So quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. These are the defenses. These are the stats the defenses gave up to quarterbacks, passing, then rushing, then fantasy points allowed per game in the playoffs. Now, depending on which site you're on, either FanDuel or DraftKings, we can look at who to target, and we can kind of go in that situation. So if you look at this, in theory, the Buffalo Bills defense ranks 8th out of 8 out of all the teams for giving up fantasy points per game. So they gave up 17.1 to the opposing quarterback in the 2 games that they did. Again, it's a small sample size. I get that compared to the full season, but it's the playoffs, baby. It is different. So then you would want to look at maybe Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and the refs, if you believe in that. Commanders gave up the second most because that was an absolute shootout against Detroit. They give up 16.5, so maybe you're looking at Jalen. Then you got the Eagles, Jaden, and then the Kansas City Chiefs. Only played 1 game. They had a really good game. They only give up 14 points per game on DraftKings. So you can use this. Same thing with running backs. Go through here, see the fantasy points. You can see the Commanders gave up the most amount of fantasy points. They got ran all over in those 2 games. And now Saquon would be number 1, obviously. Followed by the Bills, whether or not it's James Cook or whoever's going to be running the ball. The Commanders, whether or not it's Robinson Jr. or it's Eckler. And then the Chiefs, Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Carson Steele, whoever they decide to run with Kansas City. Wide receivers, you're looking at this. Again, it's a little skewed because of how many points were scored in the Dallas-Detroit game. But you've got Commanders giving up those. So the Eagles, so A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Jahan Dotson maybe. You could look at that. Jahan Dotson against his former team, we'll see. Commanders are second against the Eagles secondary, so Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, depending on who they're going to have there. Bills, the Chiefs give up the third most, 27.8. The Bills, so Khalil Shakir. There's so many different ways the Bills can beat you. And then the Bills have the best defense in the secondary against the wide receivers in the 2 games that they've played. Then you have the tight ends. So depending. The Eagles have given up the most, so Commanders. So Zach Ertz facing his former team. Are we going to get some revenge factor there? We'll see. Chiefs, Travis Kelce, Bills, Kincaid or Knox, and then the Eagles, Dallas Goedert or Calcaterra you could look at there. So that is a completely free tool. All you got to do is go to the NFL tab, go to the matchup tool right there if you would like to see that there. So we are going to break down. Here's the breakdown from last year to this year of how this worked out. Here's how it was built through the season. 84% of the winning lineups, or taking down the tournament, contained at least one quarterback. I think you're going to see both quarterbacks make a lot of sense in both games for the showdowns. Only 6% of the winning lineups used $50,000 in salary. Only 16% of the lineups of the winners had a $200 or less player. Now, if we look at that for this matchup, there's not much at all. We're not going to see, I doubt we see any of these guys. I mean, maybe a Luke McCaffrey game log against Detroit. Did nothing. He has not done anything. That's the problem. You come down, maybe, yeah. So that's it. You're not going to see anything for 200. I'm not going in that 200 range. 80% of the winning lineups contained a player $4,000 or less, which makes more sense. So Zacchaeus, if he's in there, Commanders defense, maybe. Gainwell can always snap off a touchdown or two. Jahan Dotson, Jamison Crowder. In that massive 45-31 win, only got 2 targets, did catch both of them for 25 yards. He could easily, I guess, vulture a couple touchdowns. You got Jeremy McNichols you could look at. The third one. Calcaterra you could look at. You could look at that. There are some under 4K, which I'm completely okay with. The average salary used, at least on DraftKings, $47,500. So they left $2,500 on the table. So then we look at the stack percentages. Stacks are huge. We know that. Especially in a game where we are looking at Washington, an implied team total of 20.7, Philly, an implied team total of 26.9, where points are going to be had. I could see that. A 4-2 stack won it 44% of the time. So if you think Philly's going to be up big, then I'm going to go Commanders with a 4-2 stack because they're going to be playing from behind. So I want Jaden Daniels, I want Terry McLaurin, I want Eckler, I want Robinson, I want, just depending on who it is. At Ertz, I want them all. 3-3 stack won at 36% of the time, and a 5-1 stack only won at 21% of the time. Then we break it down to captain percentages. 39% of the time, a wide receiver took it down. Both of these secondaries are not ideal against wide receiver, but I'm still going Saquon Barkley. I'm still going Jaden Daniels. I love them there. I love those two as MVP or captain or superstar if you play on Yahoo. You can't play this one on Yahoo, but you know what I mean. A running back won at 28% of the time in the captain spot, a QB 17% of the time, a tight end 7% of the time, a defense 7% of the time, and a kicker only 2% of the time. So while they do have kickers, and kickers could be ideal here, I'm not going to kick. I'm not going Jake Elliott. I'm not going Zane Gonzalez. I'm not doing it. I'm going Saquon Barkley, Jaden Daniels. Make the most sense to me. Maybe I would love to hear your guys. If you are building showdowns, let me know if this is something you're interested in. Let me know some of your favorite, maybe off-the-wall picks for a captain or MVP spot. So now, I do want to build a lineup, a couple of lineups. Looking at Saquon, he is the most expensive as the captain spot, 17.4, which is going to make it a little bit tough, but we've got to find some value then. So, Barkley is there. I want Jaden Daniels in there. I want Ertz in there as maybe a revenge game. We will see. So we're at 5,400 the rest of the way. You can find those players here. Whether or not Jahan Dotson last week, nothing. Against Green Bay, had a touchdown, 1 of 2 targets. So didn't do anything last week. Jamison Crowder, again, could be one of those sneaky picks. Zacchaeus, if he's playing. I fully expect him to play. Really hasn't done much. Did have a touchdown back against Atlanta. He's only had 3 touchdowns on the year. So, again, don't get too cute with this. But you can look. Calcaterra, you can look at him. Nothing last week. 1 target for 4 yards. He's only got 1 touchdown this year. So, it's going to be a little bit crazy to try and build. We might have to put a kicker in if you do have Barkley at the top. So, maybe we go Jake Elliott. If they're up big, maybe they're up big. 5,700, whether or not we can get a Kenneth Gainwell in there. You could look at that. He hasn't done anything, though. He hasn't really stolen any touchdowns. If you come down here and you look for those, there's really nothing down here. It's a wasteland. So that is where you got to figure out, can you afford some of these guys? Can you put the Eagles defense in there? They've put back-to-back double-digit points on there, and they're playing at home. Now we're at 7,000. Yes, the defense is going against your quarterback. I get that. But at the same time, you got to get creative in this. So Eckler, Robinson. I'm probably going Eckler in this one. I probably like that a little bit more. Again, it's 3-3 stack. You do have the Eagles defense there, but I'm going to enter that in there. So that is one. Now, that is kind of just a start because Barkley, he is very, very expensive to put in the captain spot. So another one, Jaden Daniels, like I said, I love these two here. If I can get Barkley in there, if I can get McLaren in there. Now we're at 4,100 for 3 spots. I'm going to put De'Ami Brown in there at 54. Now we're at 35. I kind of think a sneaky pick might be Jamison Crowder at 24. Now we're at 4,700. Eagles defense, Zacchaeus, Commanders defense, Gainwell, Jahan Dotson. Where are we going to go? I think I'm going to put the Eagles defense again because Jaden Daniels could have a great game. So let's say he has a great game. He puts up a ton of points. 2 touchdowns last week, 25. No interceptions. But he had 9 interceptions on the year. Did they play the Eagles back on week 16, put up 36.42. He had 5 touchdowns in that game, but he had 2 interceptions. So if we look at that, he put up that. They won 36-33. I want to see week 16 how the Eagles defense did against them. So we go to week 16. They still put up 7, which isn't good, but it's not bad. It's not negative, giving up that many. So if they can get some interceptions, I am completely okay with that. So those are a couple of lineups for DraftKings. You can go different directions there. That's completely fine. Let's build a couple FanDuel lineups. Now the pricing's different. We got $10,000 more and 1 spot less to use. So where are we going to go? I still think it's Barkley. $17,000 for him is very expensive. I get that. Let's use Jalen Hurts because we did not use him the other one. And let's do Jalen Hurts throwing it there. So we've got a 3-2 stack. I think we're going to have to go Zane Gonzalez in this one for a kicker at 85. Now we're at 8,000. Eckler, De'Ami Brown, Jahan Dotson. I would go with Eckler in that situation. So we got a 3-2 stack there. 3 Philly, 2 Washington. And I'm okay with that. That is one lineup. So we'll clear that. I only have 10 cents. I don't play on here. So let's build another one. Depending on where we want to go, let's put Barkley again at the top. Let's put Jalen Hurts there. Let's put McLaren in there. I think we got to get the Eagles defense in here at 9. And we're at 8,000 again. So we can go De'Ami Brown. We could go Eckler. I'm going to go Brown in this situation. So right here, we have 3-2 stack again. 3 Eagles, 2 Washington. Now, what I want to do is I want to put a Washington stack as one. And Jaden Daniels is the guy for the job. So I'm going to put Jaden Daniels there. He's there. Let's see if we can get both quarterbacks in there. So Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts, they got to throw to some people. So let's do a tight end game. Is Dallas Goedert going to be in there? Ankle didn't practice Thursday. Blue. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. We got Ertz at 9.95. And now we can go Devonta Smith. We can go Brian Robinson Jr. We could go the Eagles defense. Let's go Brian Robinson Jr. We have not used him. We haven't really talked about him. So you got Jaden Daniels throwing it to Ertz and handing it off or dumping passes off to Robinson Jr. Then you have Jalen Hurts throwing it to Philly. Now Ertz, maybe we go narrative street. Maybe he has a good game. Ertz was questionable earlier this week, but he's good to go now. Yep, practiced in full Thursday. Good to go. Had a receiving touchdown against Detroit in that game. 5 for 5. The crazy thing is he was 5 for 5 and only had 28 yards. So he's more utilized in the red zone. And that's all we need. I mean, you obviously would love more, but if we could just get dump-off passes, 5-yard passes, say 3 touchdowns, 15 yards, amazing. That's what we could hope for and wish for, especially at 9,500. So that is a couple of FanDuel lineups, a couple of Yahoo or DraftKings lineups. We cannot build on Yahoo because the game isn't there. So that is the first showdown. Be on the lookout for the showdown for the Chiefs and Bills. We're going to have that breakdown. And then we're going to break down both games, main slate, breaking down using SaberSim, putting rankings out there, and building some lineups for the final time for the 2024-2025 NFL season. I want to thank everyone who's joined the channel since the start of the season. When one book or one chapter closes, another opens. So if you only came in during the NFL season, you are in for a treat for the MLB season. Our breakdowns for every single day of the season, 40 to 45 minutes long. We break down every single pitcher, every batter, every game on the slate. If you have not, go check out the playlist for the MLB. You will not be, I don't think you'll be upset. And if you have questions, you can always hit us up in our free Discord down below. Good luck with the showdown or betting, DFS, whatever you're doing. Let's have some fun. And as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace.